Hey, it's me, Slim, aka Eli. I'm doing a news vlog because I have a Patreon account. I was telling people that I'd start being a little bit more active in explaining what's going on with me artistically. So I figured this is the most time efficient, entertaining way to do it. I am terrible at writing. My voice isn't particularly interesting, but I do think I am fun to look at, uh, one way or another. And if I'm on video, I can do graphic design stuff. Let's see. This month, I was involved with Saturday AM's fan art contest. It's kind of just like you do rounds, you make art, you send it in, you compete with other artists, and you move up the brackets. And if you win, you get an iPad. Sorry. I joined it because I've done a little bit of work with Saturday AM, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to maybe get some more art done so I could show to people. Funny thing is, they don't let you show your art until the contest has concluded, so I can't really show it to anyone yet. It should be over end of this month, so I should be able to show it soon. But for patrons, because patrons is more of a private thing, it's up on my Patreon account, so you can go check it out if you want. I put the Photoshop files up, so if you have Photoshop, you can go check it out. If you don't, you can still look at it. I'll probably try to make another video to show you what the different layers and stuff do if you're not familiar with Photoshop, as recommended to me by one of my patrons. Speaking of Patreon things, since I've started Patreon, I've been trying to get a little bit more active in explaining what it is that I'm doing artistically as far as comics, projects, things like that. So, I mean, one thing so far is I've done a Patreon commission. I drew this mat right here. Nice, right? It was a request from one of my patrons to do this Sith themed game mat. And it's been really popular. Had to learn about composition and Sith lore, which, you know, it apparently is very popular these days. There's a couple games I'm also working on. I'm not going to get too far into it. If you knew me in middle school, you know that I dabble in game design. I made a really crappy Yu-Gi-Oh knockoff in middle school. But since then, when I'm not making comics, when I take breaks from comic making, I make games. And, you know, I think it's about time I stepped my game up. Thanks for sticking with me and being patient. I'm still learning a little bit about producing content and getting it to select people. So, you know, I'm still growing. And if you have any tips, feel free to let me know. But anyway, I went to, besides Saturday AM's contest, which I am out of it. I made it to round 3. And I got eliminated, not because my art was bad or because I was outvoted. It was just a couple technical errors on my part. I was in first place, got docked 50 points, then last place. So that got me out. But, you know, it was still fun. Thank everybody who voted, and thank everyone who was competing against me. I really actually do like competition a lot. Too much, some might say. Also this month, I went to a book signing. Did a book signing at World's Best Comics in Sacramento. A little bit out of the ways for me, but, you know, it was still fun. I got to collaborate and network with some of my other Scattered Comics brethren. If you don't know, Scattered Comics is a local Sacramento comic group. They're kind of just indie comics. They kind of just team up and do a bunch of comic-y things. They're very active in the convention scene. As far as other news, I have comic books. No real, I mean, there's a little bit of news. Let me go through it. You can still buy my books online. You can buy Actionland books 1 and 2 on Amazon. They're still available. You can also buy Alien 101, book 1 and 2 on Amazon. I believe they go for like $12. Book 3 is on its way. There's still a couple more chapters that need to be finalized before I finish it. And then, of course, I need to have my editors look at it to make sure I'm not, you know, butchering the English language or back alley pummeling the English language. I think that's a better, more accurate description of what I do to it. Exciting news. I now have Dog of the Dead. My editors are looking at it. I think and it'll be available on Amazon right after that. Funny thing about Dog of the Dead, it's going to be kickstarted. It's going to be my first try at kickstarting. It's going to be for the deluxe edition, kind of. This is just created from a company called CreateSpace. They're a print-on-demand company. And, I mean, it's pretty fun. I mean, it's a good book. It's quite fun. I mean, you can read it. So you can look at it with your eyes. But that's all self-publishing. So it's just me telling people about my book and then them buying it. And I'm not a good businessman, so I can't really get the word out there well. So I'm going to be kickstarting it, so you'll get the deluxe edition. It'll have alternate art. I'm going to up the background a little bit. Also, as part of the Kickstarter, if you pledge a certain amount, you can become a zombie in the book. So all of the art's going to kind of get looked over again, and some new zombies will be added. And there's going to be a little bit more bonus content at the end. If I do succeed at getting it kickstarted, it'll be available in like Barnes and Nobles and just kind of some places around the country. So it'll just be out there to a larger audience. So, I just really like making books, making stories, making art. And the few people that have seen it have enjoyed it, and that's enough for me. But if it could, other people can enjoy it, then that's awesome as well. There's a couple other projects that have been getting worked on. There's King of Grimm, which lives in this book right now. If you notice, there's not a lot going on in this book. It's mostly blank. There's a couple pages every here and there. So the deal with this one is it was penciled. First it was thumbnailed, then it was penciled. So I have the full story, not necessarily the dialogue, but I have the main events. And I'm just going in and inking it as I have the time to. Me and my brother first made King of Grimm, and it's gone through a lot of changes, but it's become kind of a project where it's fun, and I try not to worry and stress too much about it. So eventually it'll be done, and then you can read it. It's about a werewolf trying to fight a vampire in a world full of zombies. So, keep that in mind. Now that Dog of the Dead's completely completed, the next title I'm going to be working on is a title called Away. It's another comic I'm working on with a writer. So my second collaborative piece, and also, like, the same way Dog of the Dead was my first take in the horror genre, this is going to be my first take in erotic. I don't actually know the term for it, but sexy stuff. There's going to be sex in it. I wouldn't call it porn because it's mostly about the story, but sex takes place. Hey, if you're into that type of thing. But it's Away. It involves these two characters. You might have seen some of my concept sketches or some of my art I made. But those are the main people. They're going to be doing stuff. They're cool. You'll like them. No, it'll be fun. But because of the content of that story, it's not going to get nearly as much web presence as Dog of the Dead did. It'll mostly be exclusively for my patrons. And then after it's completed, maybe 2 years, you can go buy it and look at it and do whatever you do to, content that you purchase. Let's see. Is there anything else? Well, I guess that's all the news I have for now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.